The Sydney Dialogue is happening this week, and it's all about tech policy. Prime Minister of Australia, the Prime Minister of India, both be giving keynote speeches during the summit. Shinzo Abe will be here too. Now, joining us is the Director of International Cyber Policy, Centre at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute from ASPI. Good morning to you. Now, as Trudy was just talking about, Prime Minister's going to be there. Can you just give us a broad view of what is going to be spoken about and what hopes to come out of this summit?
Well, clearly the Indo-Pacific has become the geostrategic, centre of gravity at the moment, but it's also the centre of gravity when it comes to technology. We've got huge tech players in the region from China, from India, from Japan, and also, we've seen today with this announcement around critical technologies, there's going to be a key role that Australia is going to be playing in particular areas as well. So the dialogue is all about bringing together leaders from governments, from technology companies and from civil society to get in the same room together and hash out and talk through the big emerging issues when it comes to critical technologies and emerging technologies.
Is this sorry to interrupt. I mean, is this just to say that we are a long way short of where we need to be?
Well, exactly. We're in this situation at the moment where the ubiquitous deployment of new technologies is really far out ahead of government regulation. You've also got a situation where nation states are harnessing new technologies way out ahead of ethical frameworks that catch up with them. So if you think about surveillance technologies, they're being deployed, but we haven't really caught up with thinking through where it's appropriate and where it's not. And there's this increasing tension between the tech industry and Western governments, all governments, and that's not really the way to forge and make sure we win these tech races that are so important.
Can you just define to me, like I'm a child, what is quantum technology?
Well, there's a bunch of technologies that sit within quantum technology. So we've got quantum physics that is being used already in a bunch of technologies like watches, for example.
Right.
But you've got a new range of technologies and includes quantum computing is the one that people talk about most often. And what that basically means is instead of a computer that we've got now that can do lots of great things, think of a computer that can do 100 times more things than your standard computer. So if you've got a ginormous data set that your computer would just crash on because it cannot handle that amount of processing, quantum computer would just zip through it in a second. And that means you can make really major advances in a whole bunch of fields, from healthcare, understanding how diseases work and how what type of cures can be made to help there, all the way through to breaking in traditional encryption that we've got today. So the implications are just enormous, and it basically comes from the fact that these computers are just so much more powerful than the computers that we have today.
Is this all to counter China?
Well, the dialogue itself is an open dialogue, so we're bringing together folks from all over the region, and the idea behind that is to try and have a dialogue on these issues that are going to matter, whether you're China or the United States. But as you can see, a lot of the technology policy that we've got at the moment is a lot about China, because we're seeing such authoritarian, so many authoritarian developments in China and quite assertive actions in all kinds of fields. So I think technology has definitely become geopolitical in lots of areas, and so nation states are taking it much more seriously than they have in the past.
And Shinzo Abe will be here as well. I mean, in my conversations with people in the past couple of days, there needs to be greater collaboration in their belief between Australia and Japan. Is this perhaps the start of it? It'd be interesting to hear what Shinzo's got to say.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's not very often that you get to hear Shinzo Abe speak. He tends to keep a pretty low profile since he's stepped down from being Prime Minister of Japan, but I think he's obviously been absolutely at the forefront of growing concepts like a free and open Indo-Pacific. So it'll be, I think, really interesting to hear what he's got to say and why he's coming out from being quite quiet and laid back in his post-prime ministerial career.
For sure. No, great work getting him, and Narendra Modi for that matter. Fergus Hanson, the Director of the International Cyber Policy Centre at ASPI. Appreciate your time this morning, Fergus. Thank you, and
Thanks so much,
best of luck for the summit. We'll talk to you again soon.